Welcome once again, and thank you for staying committed as we move toward completing Domain 2, Asset Security. In this lecture, we shift from data-centric practices to the broader topic of asset management. While data classification helps us understand the value and sensitivity of information, asset inventories and system classification help us track and protect the physical and logical containers where that data resides. Without knowing what systems exist, who owns them, and what data they handle, no amount of security controls will be sufficient. Whether it's a physical server, a virtual machine, a SaaS platform, or an IoT device, every asset must be accounted for, categorized, assigned ownership, and integrated into security governance. CISSP professionals must approach asset inventories not as IT tasks, but as foundational pillars of risk management, control implementation, and compliance assurance. Let's begin by defining what we mean by assets. In cybersecurity, assets include anything that has value to the organization and therefore must be protected. This includes hardware such as servers, laptops, mobile devices, and IoT sensors. Software such as operating systems, applications, code repositories, and SaaS platforms. Data such as databases, files, backups, and logs, and even people, processes, and services that are critical to operations. Every asset represents a potential entry point, attack surface, or liability. Asset management is the structured approach to identifying, cataloging, classifying, and governing those assets throughout their life cycle. A proper asset inventory is the first step. This is a comprehensive, up-to-date list of all assets across the environment, whether on-premises, cloud-based, mobile, or hybrid. The inventory should include metadata such as asset name, location, IP address, MAC address, OS version, owner, classification, patch level, last activity date, and risk rating. It should also include relationships, for example, which servers support which applications or which devices store regulated data. Inventories must be automated and dynamic. Manual spreadsheets are outdated and error-prone. Modern organizations use configuration management databases or CMDBs, asset discovery tools, endpoint management platforms, and cloud asset management dashboards to maintain real-time visibility. Integration with vulnerability management, patching tools, and threat intelligence platforms allows for risk prioritization. One of the most critical and often overlooked elements of inventory is system classification. Just as data must be classified, so too must systems, based on the type of data they handle, their business function, criticality, and exposure. For example, a public web server hosting marketing content may be classified as low sensitivity, while a database storing healthcare records may be classified as high sensitivity. Classification drives control requirements. High-sensitivity systems require hardened configurations, multi-factor authentication, DLP monitoring, and more frequent audit. Classification also affects change control, logging, and incident response. For example, a failed login attempt on a high-sensitivity system may trigger alerts, while the same event on a test server may be logged silently. Without classification, you apply controls inconsistently, wasting resources on low-risk systems and underprotecting high-value targets. Another cornerstone of asset management is ownership accountability. Every asset, whether data, system, or device, must have a designated owner who is responsible for its classification, access permissions, operational status, and compliance. Ownership does not mean hands-on administration. It means governance. For instance, the head of finance may be the owner of the accounting system, even though IT maintains the server. The system owner decides who can access the system, what controls are appropriate, how long data is retained, and when the system is decommissioned. Ownership should be assigned during procurement or project kickoff and documented in asset records. Lack of ownership leads to misconfigurations, orphaned systems, and policy violations, all of which increase breach likelihood and audit finding. Effective asset governance also means defining custodianship, users, and maintainers. The custodian is responsible for implementing and maintaining security controls, applying patches, configuring firewalls, backing up data. The user is the personal role authorized to use the system within defined limits. The maintainer may be a vendor, contractor, or service provider responsible for updates, troubleshooting, or support. These roles must be clearly separated and audited to avoid conflicts of interest and to support the principle of least privilege. For example, the same person should not be both the data owner and the security auditor. Segregation of duties reduces risk and improves accountability. Asset inventories are also essential for incident response. When a breach occurs, one of the first questions is what systems are affected. If your inventory is outdated, your visibility is compromised. If system classification is missing, you cannot prioritize response. If ownership is unclear, you cannot make decisions. This is why organizations must treat asset management not as a compliance task, but as a security control in itself. Your incident response plan, risk assessment, vulnerability scan, and audit all depend on accurate, current, and classified asset records. Cloud environments introduce new challenges. Assets are ephemeral, spinning up and down on demand. Shadow IT grows as users deploy cloud resources without central approval. Multi-cloud complexity fragments visibility. Solutions include cloud-native asset discovery tools, APIs that feed CMDBs with real-time updates, tagging policies that enforce classification at creation, and continuous compliance tools that monitor configuration drift. Every cloud resource, virtual machine, S3 bucket, database, load balancer, must be treated as an asset, labeled accordingly, and governed by policy. Let's talk briefly about mobile devices and BYOD policies. Phones, tablets, USB drives, and personal laptops introduce asset risks due to lack of control, weak visibility, and data leakage. Organizations must define asset registration procedures, minimum security baselines, MDM or mobile device management requirements, and endpoint DLP policies. Devices that access sensitive data must be subject to encryption, remote wipe, device attestation, and regular compliance checks. If a device is lost, compromised, or taken out of service, the inventory must reflect that immediately. Auditing and validation are essential for maintaining asset inventory quality. Scheduled asset reviews, reconciliation reports, automated decommissioning, and CMDB audits help ensure data integrity. Many organizations apply risk-based asset tiering, where assets are grouped by impact level and reviewed at different frequencies. For example, Tier 1 assets are reviewed quarterly, while Tier 3 assets are reviewed annually. This helps align resource investment with actual exposure. To summarize, asset inventories, system classification, and ownership accountability are the foundation of secure operations. Inventories provide visibility. Classification provides prioritization. Ownership provides governance. Without these three, controls are applied inconsistently, risk is misjudged, and security becomes reactive. As a CISSP, your role is to ensure that assets are tracked, classified, and owned across their lifecycle, from acquisition to decommissioning, and that this process is integrated with security controls, compliance frameworks, and operational processes. Now reflect on your own organization. Is there a complete real-time asset inventory? Are cloud resources included? Are systems classified based on data sensitivity and business criticality? Is each asset assigned a clear owner? Are custodian roles documented and enforced? How are mobile devices tracked? And what happens when someone leaves the company? Do incident response, auditing, and vulnerability management rely on the same inventory? These questions reveal the maturity of your asset governance program and whether your environment is truly secure or just assumed to be. Thank you once again for your commitment and focus. With this final building block, you are now fully equipped with the principles of asset security. Let's continue onward with confidence into Domain 3.